Good evening, everyone. Welcome to this webinar, the first episode of Construction and Facade post-COVID. Uh, we have eminent guests and panelists over here. I'll quickly introduce. I'll start with Ashok sir, Chairman, Managing Director of Ekta Group, a name which is known in the industry. We respect, and he's there with us to share his wisdom. Mayur sir, Managing Director, Marathon Reality, almost 6 decades of experience in the construction, past President MCHI, very good family friend, well-wisher, and there he is to share his views. Sandeep Shikre sir, very renowned architect, landmarks across the country, the great team, great visionary, always taken steps for the new evolution, and today we are going to listen and learn from him evolution of facades and new design post-COVID. Sharad Mittalji, financial field, again, I would say very close family friend, and he heads the Motilal Oswal Realty Real Estate. His CEO successfully handled many investments. He has brought in a lot of investments, and we look forward to his sharing of his views today. Very important. Finance is very important. Without money, we all know how things are. So I think he's going to be the important guy today. Rajan Govind sir, 27 years of expertise in the facade industry. He's a renowned consultant. I've got the opportunity to work with him on many projects. He makes life so easy and facades so simple that all the complex buildings look so simple. So with that introduction, I think we have a fantastic guest list over here, and we look forward to making this as a very interesting and interactive session. I will now request Sandeep sir to give us his views and on the evolution of facade, design of facades post-COVID. Over to you, Sandeep sir.
So thank you, Kamlesh, for a wonderful introduction. And as you have requested me to keep my thoughts, so let me tell you how an architect's mind works when we talk about an envelope. I feel pre-pandemic or post-pandemic, the situations are same, the logics are same, what we need to do for our facade. So this particular slide can explain you as to what is the need of today, where we need to have this nature coming very close to us, and people have that craving to be in a contact with the nature, especially in a lockdown. People must be realizing how much they are missing the nature. So as an architect all over the place, and especially in tropical country, we are having a lot of craving to create a kind of a biophilic characteristics, So when we talk about residences, it's very important that we maintain a good lifestyle. We have a proper natural ventilation, natural light coming into our buildings. So that's quite important. And people have been practicing this particular aspect of getting the biophilic characteristics. Especially we live in a tropical country where the weather is supporting us, and we can really get those nature coming to our doorsteps, even if it is in a mid-rise or in a high-rise buildings. And it has become quite possible now. So this is a kind of a facade strategy that I personally would like to promote, because this is very relevant, and this is something that the residential building will always love. You can see it in this section. I feel every envelope should have a balcony. Every envelope should have a kind of a shading devices, and there has to be a layering. So it kind of gives you a multiple advantage. It not only protects your facade from rain and sun, but it also gives you that recreational space outside your house. So it's very important that you have nicely balconies which are coming outside your home. May it be a small, for a luxury homes, you can have a very larger, deeper terraces and balconies. But even for the mid sector, and I would advocate it to Ashok ji and Mayur ji, that we need to introduce this balcony characteristics to all kind of residences, because they give protection to our facade and also becomes a very beautiful space for our contact with the nature, daylight and sunlight. So some of the illustrations that we are doing a project in Thane, and in Thane the balcony is allowed up to 20%. So we are trying to maximize that opportunity. So you can see the whole layer that goes outside the house. There's a standout balcony for the bedroom. There's a deep balcony for the living room. And the same balcony becomes a dry balcony for the kitchen and a toilet duct. So it kind of gives you a beautiful strategy for your facade. You can see it here. The whole building is layered. So what happens? The envelope of the building is very well protected because you have a complete layer of almost 0.9 to 1.2 meter of a projection. And then what we thought, that we need to have this kind of a relief in the high-rise building, because every time people cannot come to podium to have their engagement with their friends and with their neighbors. So you create this kind of amenity lounges which are there in the building where people can go meet each other, have a nice time, and overall complex would look like this. The whole facade is protected. You have the layers, and this is very simple, very economical. I'm not talking about the unitized curtain wall or a window wall systems, or simple, nice, good quality windows, but they have been provided with a nice layering. You also provide a shading device on a terrace, so people can use rooftop also. So I feel this particular layering technique for the residential building will work very, very well. You can also have the organic gardens. All the rooftops, all the intermediate terraces can become also a kind of an opportunity, people to grow a nursery, people to have a kind of their own organic, kind of a agricultural exercise that they can do. And it's been happening in few of the societies very successfully. So I think this is something that will catch up in a near future. And when you talk about a typical Mumbai, a high-rise super luxury tower, those towers also has kind of a terraces, and those terraces we need to protect it, because as you go high, there's a lot of harsh sun that comes on you. There's also a wind that comes at a super velocity. So you need to ensure that some kind of a weather panels, as you can see it on the screen, those brown color weather panels, they are actually going to control the sun directly coming into your terrace. It gives you also a wind calming thing. So there is a apartment which is kind of a duplex apartment which is inside, but it is covered with entire circular kind of a terraces. And what you see it in a red color, those are the weather panels, and those weather panels, they actually move on a motorized control on your home automation. So whenever you are sitting in the morning time towards the southwest, you can pull those weather panels to ensure that you get a light, but you don't get a glare. Similarly, you also calm down the wind. So these kind of movable dynamic facades are also quite interesting and also quite important for people to use the terraces at a higher level. So when I was in New York, I could see there are 56 Leonard Street, a few projects where there are beautiful decks, but there are no weather panels. So people are hardly able to use those beautiful decks only maybe 2 months in a year. So we thought that probably a good weather panels be a blessing for this kind of a terraces. So it's almost like a sky villa. You can see those sliding folding screens. They work on a motorized control, and you can control them as you want. That's also one of the good facade strategy for residential. And you almost have a kind of a outdoor space which is usable all throughout the year. So you can see the picture when you're sitting on your deck. You have a nice shading device. The main facade is quite deep inside, so it will never have a direct sun. It will never have a direct rain. So it's quite sustainable. It's quite robust, and it also is quite smart in terms of energy efficiency. So this particularly explains you the apartment is pushed inside, and there's a complete layering all around the apartment, which acts as an insulin, which acts as a shading device, and also a beautiful recreational space with the panels, as I mentioned. And most importantly, whenever we design now, we have a tool of a daylight simulation. We have to ensure that more than 90% of the house, no matter it is small or big, should have a good daylight. So every corner of the house, people pay money for daylight, people pay money for panoramic view. So you have to be very careful to keep your window wall ratio very healthy, especially in a residential. And Mumbai and our country has a beautiful weather, so we must capitalize on that. So these are the things which shows you a corner window where you can have a beautiful panoramic view when your site is very strategically located. You can have your bathrooms, which is almost like a floating in air, and you have that kind of a view of a sky and a nice ocean. So these kind of facade strategies are very important. And nowadays you have technology with you where it is completely hermetically sealed, and it has a good acoustic values, good U values, everything works pretty good on this. So these are some of the things. Then I come to the next point. I think every square foot in a colony should be usable. So all the common lobbies, all the areas should have a compatibility with the kind of a pods, because now people, when they work from home, some people's houses are small, they may not be able to work from home all throughout the day cycle. So they just go to the lobby, they just go to their podium, and they have this kind of a pods which are very flexible, which are very modular, which is scalable, and people can also work within their colony. So every square foot of the colony has to have this kind of a compatibility where people like to work with the nature around them. So these are some of the slides where your outdoor podiums could have a shading device. People have the work pods, which can have a solar panels on top. So these all can also become a nice strategy for your rooftops, So then I move to a commercial building. When you talk about commercial building, mostly they are air conditioned. So you need to have a ventilated facade. I'm sure Rajan is going to talk more about this, but this kind of a ventilated facade allows you to have insulation, and there's a much lesser load onto the envelope for its energy efficiency. So this is quite common, and this is what we should adapt. This will have a little bit of a more capex, little bit more money you'll spend, but now in commercial, the leasing model is becoming popular. So also the OPEX is very important, because OPEX is perpetual and CAPEX is once. So this kind of a strategy, if they are adapted, they'll give you a very energy efficient and also quite nice kind of a envelope. This is what we did for Piramal at Kurla, Agastya. What you see, those terracotta panels, they are openable. So before the office opens, these all panels are open. They flush out all the air. They take the nice fresh air. So you have an opportunity when there's a good weather to open these panels and also enjoy the natural air, That's the whole thing. The indoor spaces, you can make them look good by introducing a skylight. So the skylight gives you a good daylight coming even inside, because sometimes these are large footprints, large IT complexes. So the column grids are very big. So introduction of this kind of a skylight also gives you a good opportunity to create an indoor plantation and also have a beautiful daylight. So this is something where we have a sky gardens in an office building, and these are oxygenated plants. So these plants actually exhale oxygen. So you take your air conditioning written air, it gets filtered through these plants and goes inside the compound. So this is what we are doing for Kirloskar in Pune. So every office has a balcony, because people, when they work 8 to 10 hours in the air conditioned environment, they want to go out for 10-15 minutes, breathe the fresh air, take the D vitamin from the sun. So what we thought, even for the offices, every offices will give a balcony, and that's what is attempted here. Some of the snapshots where office building also can enjoy the balconies. Of course, one of the very important aspects that we must keep it in mind, we have a good sun, we have a lot of good solar energy, so we must also exploit the facade to generate an energy, not only to consume an energy. So you have a photovoltaic curtain walls where you can also generate an energy which could be useful for common areas. And I feel the rooftops, every rooftop should be nicely utilized, so that also they transmit less heat to the building. It also becomes a good area as a greenhouse, and they become a good bonding kind of an element for the office people. So that's it from me, Kamlesh, for now. This is, I think, could be a good beginning for our presentation. Just to touch base on the envelope that could contribute to our residents as well as for the commercial building.
Yeah, thank you, Sandeep sir. Indeed, fantastic presentation. This is marvelous, and I can see the future and your vision. So that really, it means we are really, in these days, we are missing those gardens and those parks and these buildings which are green and they look so beautiful. Not only, as you mentioned, that there are plants which they give out oxygen. That's really fantastic. I would now move to Mr. Rajan Govind. Rajan sir, your expertise in this field, everybody is aware. We would like to now understand a few details about the facades and the future facades of the design. So over to you, Rajan sir.
Thank you, Kamlesh. Thank you for the invitation and be part of this series. I'd like to share something, a very small presentation, just to show some feature thoughts and what we could expect to adapt these challenges. I will try to show a very short presentation. I just managed to put very few slides to specifically talk on post-COVID lockdown, what we could expect to see and how we are prepared to see the challenges. From the designer point of view, it is not major things pre-COVID or post-COVID. I would rather see how from the construction industry point of view, it will have an impact. Future of the facades, yeah, there is nothing changing from future of the facade. It's the same as Sandeep Shirke said. We still see the same interesting architecture, designers coming with great buildings and iconic designs. So the design and expectation requirement is going to be the same. Rather, the challenges may look different. As you can see, there are a few from my perspective I try to show here. Especially the post-COVID challenges, we could see a lot of things changing, every industry, every field. Especially to the construction industry, in terms of building, we could see the change in buildings. Requirement is changing. Space layouts and usability changes. Functional aspects of this buildings changes. We may see a different kind of a development rather than just commercial building. Maybe there are many other buildings coming up. And we could also see there are a lot of impact on how the things are getting produced to manufacture for building systems, how the construction site is going to be managed, and as a construction industry, how we are ready to adapt these changes. From the facade perspective, I would like to say a few things on a design aspects, how as a designer we may have to deal with the post-COVID. There are a few pointers I would like to mention here. We may have to look for alternate materials as the supply chain must have broken. Functional changes, the functional changes in terms of market driven basically. Previously the usage was different, maybe the buildings coming up in future, it will have a different requirements. And where the public spaces like common areas, we may have to think carefully in terms of facade aspects, how we can reduce the risk of this kind of future pandemic. And there'll be dynamically changing spaces for commercial spaces being a leased space or owned space. There'll be a market driven, quite dynamically changing. Maybe the days we start the facade designs, maybe the day we start implementing, within that few weeks or few months could be a drastic changes. And we may have to, as a designer, look ways to use multi-use of adaptability of facades. For example, commercial spaces change to something else, or the usage change, how quickly the facade, without making any physical changes, we can design something for adaptability. And this will bring a lot of quite challenges to the industry in terms of contractors, suppliers, or developers, or whoever within the construction industry itself. Not only for facades, it could be generic for our overall construction industry, as we are looking for a different supply chain. Sourcing, maybe the sources as we traditionally get the sources may start changed or become obsolete. And we may have to see how to improve the standards of this material. There are, as the source are changing, you may have to start developing the new source with the hand in hand with the supplier. They're not done this before. We have to have good industry support to uplift the standards and the supply chain. And I would still be optimistic on a future post lockdown. It is only we have to be just be flexible to adapt the changes, being a global change, geopolitical changes. Business has lost, and then we could see there are potential new opportunities coming in terms of new building types and new usage and new things. So as a designer, we are excited to see this as a contractor and maybe a supply industry. We would like to see these changes are adapted quickly, so as an industry we can all together prosper. Just to start my presentation, over to you, Kamlesh.
Thank you, Rajan sir. Very short and impactful. You were bang on that. Post-COVID, a lot of changes. Yes, we are expecting a lot of material supply, changes of material. We are expecting a lot. Yeah. So now I'll straight away go to Sandeep sir. Going back to your presentation, sir, and what I understand. So, like, do you expect visualize the design changes or specification changes in terms of offices or residences post the COVID? My question to you, sir.
Yeah. So as I said, Kamlesh, the situation before COVID and the logic were same, but COVID has kind of put a magnifying glass and people have started realizing the importance of how important it is to have an infection-free, healthy environment in office as well as in residence. So there will be a lot of emphasis will be there for the window wall ratio. People would want to have at least 20 to 25% of the envelope which is openable. Earlier it was only fire safety compliant. Now people would also want to ensure that every office will breathe the natural air at least couple of times or more occasions to ensure that there's a good kind of airflow. So yes, there will be an upgradation in specification, which will be purely focusing on the health and safety of the people. Wherever people find there are gaps, they will start upgrading it. They will start doing a retrofitting. They will start doing a kind of upgradation of their envelope design, and that is quite important. I feel that is very important.
Fantastic,
So
very nicely said.
We will see some changes.
Yeah, sir, I would have the views from Mayur sir on this thing. Do you expect or visualize design changes or customer requirement changes post COVID?
So basically, on the residential side, if I want to say, more flexibility of the design of the usage of each of the rooms. I think what we have seen is that as we are right now either using a bedroom or a living room for these type of workplaces. So need to have some kind of a multiplicity of the usage of the rooms. A bedroom can become study room in the day during the daytime. Type of changes, and definitely as we have rightly seen in the presentation, more open spaces attached demand, and even small decks or terraces will be required because that also gives a lot of natural ventilation, which is again a crux post COVID. And even offices, I think we will see the Soho type of a concept. Maybe the consultants, we are individualistic professionals. They can work from home, and that Soho type of a concept may emerge in the urban area. These are the few things which I see as coming up in residential and commercial spaces.
Kamlesh, you are on mute.
Yeah, sorry. So Ashok sir, your views on the same, sir.
Yeah, okay. So says the next few quarters, maybe 5 to 6 quarters, one will have to have some sort of adaptation to the present circumstances. So the main pain of the developer is the bottom line. So I would think that one has to control and have a some sort of a understanding with the bottom line, and therefore you balance your cost compared to your aesthetics. Aesthetics is important, design is important, but right now, to tide over this situation, I feel that for the next 4 to 6 quarters, or maybe 7 or 8 quarters, one will have to focus also on the elements such like what Sandeep was just showing us his projects. Natural air, ventilation, lot of access to the amenities. The work from home concept is going to in a big way. So technology has to be adapted in the projects, may it be commercial, may it be residential. So therefore, even in complexes, maybe let's talk of a layout. Okay, you may not have enough of space in your house to actually work from home. Okay, so therefore these pods which Sandeep has just shown us, such kind of facilities are very crucial in their design aspect going forward. Yeah.
Your mic is mute.
So yes, I agree with you, sir, and I think it is very nicely said. So my question to Sandeep sir is, like future of facades, where do you what is your experience in 2 months, work from home, and do you think there will be the new norm in the future? How do you see this? Will this few apartments, as we see abroad, which are, most of them are modular, they convert into a bedroom, convert into a living room. Are very very modular. So, do you think that this will become the new selling feature, or this will become the new norm for cities like Mumbai at least, and cities like Delhi or somewhere?
Yes, absolutely. And that was very, very well captured by Mayur Bhai and Ashok ji. That house will have to be functional. Aesthetically, it has to be aesthetical. Now people will start valuing every square foot. So the houses have to be agile. We used to call the offices to be agile. Agile means it can adapt any kind of a change. It can have any kind of a convertibility, scalability, modularity. So you will see a lot of convertible kind of a furniture layouts where in the morning it becomes a study place, in the night the study desk comes down and it becomes a bed. So every square foot of the space will be very, very well utilized now. Earlier also it was getting well utilized, but now people will focus on this. There will be a paradigm shift in people's demand, and I strongly suggest that we should have a dialogue with the community, understand what were the requirements they faced during a lockdown, list them down, have a kind of interactive design charades with our prospective purchasers as a developer and designer together, and lot of things will evolve. In a kitchen, the housewife spends time in kitchen, and in these times, without any support, she's been spending a lot of time in kitchen. So different kind of a requirements in kitchen, good air and healthy light, which is fundamental that has to come there. So the facade will have to be dynamic, where you should be able to take the best advantage of the nature outside. Yes, so these are going to become a new norm for sure.
So, will furnished home be the new thing?
Very good. You said that. I think that is very good because from the
Yeah, it's quite likely, because if the small homes are to be made and it can be customized and it can really serve the purpose of the new, small family. We've been doing one project, new homes, which we intend to do studio flats with a kitchenette and all. Really work out, and the entire space is really optimizedly used when you really do a furnished space and give it to them.
Yes, sure, again on mute. Ashok sir, your views on this of giving furnished home with all these amenities?
I can't hear you. Asking me?
Ashok sir, I mean to say your views on the furnished homes. Do you think that the furnished homes with these amenities?
Okay, so I personally feel that these 2 months of the lockdown, has given us an opportunity to rethink, to reboot, to reset, and to reinvent ourselves. Okay, so furnishing a pod, a studio, I think will become very essential. Okay, we'll have to think out of the box. Okay, we'll have to also look at the main one of the pillars which the Prime Minister just done yesterday. That was technology. Okay, so technology will have to be imbibed in all our apartments in such a way that it becomes more convenient and more acceptable to tide over these times, because it's not about COVID lockdown today and it'll get over tomorrow. Okay, it's a lifestyle that one needs to actually adapt. It's a longer perspective. You have to look at this with a longer perspective and adapt to technology as well as to furnished homes. Yeah.
My question again, I'm going back to Sandeep sir, because we have architect, a visionary, we have a developer, we have everybody over here. So my question is that facades are like skins or envelopes. Facades are like the skin of any envelope or structure. So with the latest development, facade becomes a very very important part of design and functionality. How do you balance between a good facade design and the tight budget compulsions which are going to be there now?
So, Kamlesh, I will just for a minute digress from this question, and just to add to Mayur Bhai and Ashok ji, giving a furnished home makes also a sense, because especially in an affordable or a value for money home, consider a person buys a home at X amount, and you make him add another 15-20 lakh rupees and give him a furniture. He can add that value to his agreement. and he gets an EMI to be paid over 10-15 years, So it becomes a very, very important for him to afford it also, because for the people after they buy a house, normally they don't have money to buy a good quality furniture. But if developers give them an opportunity, okay, I give you ready to stay home with nice opportunities of different kind of finishes, so developer can negotiate a good price with the vendor, and a purchaser also gets to add that value into his agreement value. So that's one value proposition which I wanted to say. Okay, Kamlesh, coming to your point, it's always a quest. Cost is very important. Every project has to become a successful business case. So we spend a lot of time with our clients, with our clients team to ensure that the best will come at a good cost. But I would always urge, don't compromise on envelope. Maybe you can compromise little bit on some internal finishes or some other things. But envelope is the heart and life of the building. If the envelope is good, the building's longevity is going to be good, your energy consumption is going to be excellent, and it's your face. People are going to know you looking at your iconicness, your landmarkness, and your brand. So I would always request, like, let's keep the facade very, very value engineered, but not to cut costs, because if you spend little more capex, you'll have a huge benefit in terms of OPEX. But yes, we always do that cost benefit analysis. Like I said, the technology is with us, the vendors are enthusiastic, the globe is very bullish to come to India. So yes, there are a lot that can be achieved by having an actual simulation. We work on Revit. So Revit allows you to have a clash detection, actually understand how much cost will go in extrusion, how much cost will go in glass, how much cost will go in sealant. So you can do a lot of good quality cost engineering now with this technology with you.
So my question to Mayur sir and Ashok sir, in all these challenges that we are facing, what would be your new brief to the designers or the consultants, that how do you manage them, to one, with the challenges that you have to live, and second is the cost?
So basically, optimization of cost is going to be the biggest challenge in the future. And I think if you are I just want to, I just missed your little bit of words. And if we are talking about the facade part, we really need to really look into it, because it's so important that facades are very much necessary. At the same time, how do I really optimize my cost? Now that's going to be a really big design challenge, and maybe in that part, maybe there is some innovation can be brought by the consultants and all. How do we really optimize our design of facade, whereby we can bring some kind of alloys, where aluminum alloys, or some study or some research where the quantity of aluminum is reduced. That way you can reduce your cost.
Sure.
And maybe the designs of the sections which are so optimized, so that even high wind pressures are taken care of. These are the two things which some optimization and innovation can come. Definitely glasses are also one of the bigger challenge, which I think slowly we are seeing that more of a local manufacturing has really brought down the cost substantially, and further any improvisation will really bring down the cost. But definitely facades are required. At the same time, we are always facing a challenge on optimization of cost. So whether we do a premium building where maybe you want to use 80-90% of facade,
So
and glass, while the IT buildings, which you may want to use only 40-50% of the facade. So that's how we really tend to manage the cost. But the facades are a really key thing for the commercial buildings.
Ashok sir, what are your views on this?
So what I feel that the part is basically functional and emotional should be addressed. So I mean, more environment friendly materials, including use of anti micro building materials, must be used. There has to be a balance between aesthetic, design, aspirations, all put together. I think it's a blend. So there is not one fixed formula for anything that I would say. So you blend everything together and have something together. This is the way I think the future will look like now. Yeah.
Rajan sir, any comments, any views from you on this? Because when it comes to you, you have been given tight budgets, tight things, and you need to live to the expectation of the architect's vision and the developer's pocket. So how do you balance that? Sir, your audio is mute.
Sorry. Okay, I wish to have just to share two different perspective, one from the design, one another from a practical aspects. Firstly, from the design aspect, as Mr. Mayush has said, design optimization and standardization, yes, sure. That will bring to substantial cost savings, but however, it depends on the market driven. So it is not one solution fit to every building. So the design standardization, yeah, it will greatly reduce the cost of the windows, doors, and systems. It depends on also the market driven. In terms of reducing the cost of or aluminum quantity or glass, I think the glass cost has also come substantially is coming down due to local production. Aluminum, yes, the designer or engineer has to make sure he's spending some time on optimizing and giving value to the client, not just copy paste the same thing so it doesn't work. Especially if you're looking at a high-rise building, efficiency is important. And the second aspect I would touch on implementation and production. And a facade, we do a lot of things on a factory-based, less relying on the site works. I think the post-COVID also given some lessons, focus more on a controlled environment. Don't rely too much on a construction where we don't have a control. And a lot of the time we see the inefficiency driving the cost of construction being any building product. So the material not order on time, or what produced you cannot go and install, the site is not ready. So there is an inefficiency and things is not done on appropriate time. So I think these things could focus a lot of cost savings.
So good, great. I think there was a good input from you. Over to you, Sharad ji, now, because you know Lakshmi ji and Kuber ji ke bagair kuch hota nahi hai, and you are the brand ambassador for that. So my question to you is, as we all know that Motilal Oswal is a leading player in the field of realty and investment, how do you see these, you know, in terms of potential and investments? What is the mindset of the investors now currently, especially after the lockdown? You know, what is your view on that, sir?
Sure. So Kamlesh, first of all, thank you for having me. It's actually a lot of discussion is something which I am learning. Typical finance guy, we don't get into the detailing of how buildings are done, but I'm very happy to be hearing and learning some of the new things. Let me just give you a little brief of how probably I am seeing the way the funding for real estate is likely to happen. First of all, these are very unprecedented times. This is something which there is no parallel in immediate past where you can draw how this thing will likely to play out. But I don't want to sound too negative. Anyone that you speak these days probably is building a doomsday scenario. I'm not in that camp. I believe this challenge would be there for next, say, 6 to 18 months, depending on how quickly we come out of it, how efficiently we are able to flatten our curve. But what I like to say here is that let's divide real estate into two parts, residential and commercial. Let's pick up residential first. Residential has been kind of struggling for last 5 years. In fact, the peak property prices in India, in all metros, all 6 metros that you would see, were seen between 2013 and 15. So it started with it first started with affordability, which was a challenge in 13-14. But I would say the real challenge starts coming in once the demonetization happened in November of 2016, and then followed by GST, then RERA in the May 2017, and then NBFC crisis in August 2018, and now COVID. I would say from a residential perspective, the way the business is done in India, wherein there were no entry barriers, the accountability towards consumer, the regulations were not there, or probably were not as stringent as required in some of the other consumer goods. It's a path towards consolidation. And I think the paths towards consolidation, which anyway we are seeing. In fact, I was having a presentation, all our colleagues were having a presentation. We were looking at, there's a clear sign that all top 6 cities, the top 10 developers are gaining market share over a period of 3 years. So first of all, I think consolidation is the name of the game. What probably would have happened over a period of 3 to 5 years, COVID will accelerate that, and probably it will happen in a shorter period. As far as the funding requirements of residentials are concerned, primary source of capital in form of debt to real estate sector, residential real estate sector, has come from NBFCs between 2013 and 18. PSUs have been, as you all of know, have been struggling with their own challenges and been sitting on the fence. Private banks largely used to do only construction finance selectively, but NBFCs were the primary source of capital over a period of last 5-6 years. I believe post ILFS in August 2018, NBFCs are also going through their own share of challenges. The government is trying to bring in various measures to see that their liquidity comes back to them. My belief here is, and I don't want to sound pessimist, but more realistic, I think for residential sector, over a period of next 12 to 24 months, there are 2 sources of capital, either from sales or from borrowing money or equity. Developers needs to be more dependent on sales and sales revenues than on the debt, because I don't see too much cap debt coming in from these NBFCs. I don't see PSUs coming back to the game, and that leaves us selective private equity, selected private banks. As far as private equity is concerned, it's very limited. Frankly, there is negligible institutional outside international money which is there available for residential. So I believe that next 12 to 24 months, developers needs to be more dependent on sales inflows than on the debt. As far as commercial is concerned, this had a dream run. Last 4 years, Indian commercial real estate led by the IT has been dream. It's been 45 million odd annual consumptions, on an average 37-38 million. And when we are talking about facade, my understanding, I could be wrong as well, that facade is largely towards commercial, and residential probably limited to say parts of Bombay and parts of Gurgaon where you can sell high-end properties. I'm keeping a very close eye on this work from home. In fact, the narrative from the IT companies, and it's for all of us, that if there is capacity shift of 15 to 20% to home, and the rental remains muted or comes down, it's probably going to be challenging for commercial real estate as well. Though I still believe we should wait for things to play out. So as far as funding is concerned, I spoke about Resi. Commercial, I think there has been a fair bit of interest, institutional money. We'll probably have a pause here. This year will be pause year, but I see if work from home is not very disruptive, I see commercial having a long runway.
So good. I think there is a lot of input about, yes, 47 million square feet of commercial space last year. So definitely we are going to we are expecting the trend to go a little low, but not that low. So the second question to you, or before going over there, let's have views from Mayur sir and Ashok sir on the investor sentiment on the whole situation. How do you see, and especially when you have corporate players and when you have developers which are there, how do you see kind of scenario?
I'm so sorry.
I will just repeat, sir. My question is the continuation of Sharat's this thing. How do you see this, as an investor point now? Because post COVID, the sentiments of the investors, especially as regards to residential or commercial, will there be a shift towards residential, or will there be a shift or change?
So see, I totally agree with what Sharat says. Right now, there'll be some kind of a pause in commercial, but I see residential really doing well, because everywhere there's a global crisis. Okay, now Indians who are staying abroad do feel, the NRIs do feel that the need now is the time right now to get back to your roots. Okay, they want to get back to their Janma Bhumi. They've been staying all their lives in their Karma Bhumi. Okay, so they want to get back. There is going to be a lot of capital coming in India, because there is a lot of, I can see a lot of great potential which India has got. Even our Prime Minister has been focusing on infrastructure as well as technology. These are the pillars that he's been focusing upon. And I mean, as you know, that 20 lakh crores has been allotted just recently to India in this time. So I think it's a good time for the real estate, particularly residential, to pick up very soon. Yeah.
Kamlesh, I would like to add one thing, what Ashokji is saying, just to support. I also believe, so consolidation is something which is healthy for the industry and the number of developers and good, large, meaningful developers, like Ashokji and Mayurji is on the panel. But one thing I will say for the Resi, which I believe there is a merit, and I would like to point three things here, very objectively. One, if you see for Indians, typically middle class and upper middle class and HNI also, if you go back history of 30, 40, 50 years, real estate used to be primary investment. In that also residential. And over a long period of time, real estate has given a good return, which is between 12 to 14%. I think somewhere in 13, 14, various things came in together. And between 13 and 15, the investors started withdrawing from the market. And then I told you the sequence of events which has happened. Investors have kind of stayed away. Large part of that money started going as an SIP or lump sum to capital markets. And I know fair bit, you know that our background, and I interact with a lot of mutual fund and capital market players. I believe kind of volatility the capital markets have shown. And now the debt markets after Franklin Templeton debacle, I believe there is a possibility that the sum of part of those wallet share which has gone away from real estate might come back. One. Second, interest rate is a big driver. A city like Bombay, sitting in here, we don't probably appreciate how much the 8.5% and 7.5% interest rate can make a difference. But you go to Bangalore, an IT city, a person who takes a home loan of 40 lakh rupees, his EMI from 32,000 rupees goes to 27,000 rupees. It's a big kicker. His affordability goes up. Third, property prices have been stagnated for long. Like I said, 2013 to 15, we saw the peak property prices. Income level has been going up. This is all pre-COVID, but I think there is a merit to say that residential, and if the work from home happens, then people have to work actually from the home. The home needs to be there with the people, the kind of sizes they need. So I agree with Ashokji that there is a merit for residential, both from timing perspective and affordability perspective.
Forward on to this is my question again to you, Sharadji. Today we have heard our Honorable PM saying that, you know, make in India, self-dependent India, be local, buy local. These are all the latest trends, Atmanirbhar Bharat. Now, India is being seen as most potential investment center on the global map. So, as an investor fraternity, what are the changes that you see, and how, and whether as an investor, are there anything that you see as architects or developers to adapt to deliver this post the lockdown kind of situation? So will there be any specific demands in terms of design or anything when you talk from the investor point of view? Are they going to drive this?
So Kamlesh, there are better experts on the design and doing the building. I would leave it to them to comment, but I can give you.
I'm going to go to them. I take the design from Sandeep and then from Ashokji and Mayur sir.
So I can give you a finance view perspective to it. So I think one of the biggest opportunity which is in the front of India right now is that China, which has been the dominant manufacturer for the entire world, would see some kind of capacity getting moved out. You look at any large corporate, they would like to have hedged themselves to not put their all eggs into one basket. Even if they move 15% of their capacity between the Southeast Asian countries, India stands a very good chance. Frankly, I would say that India is a land of entrepreneurs. If the opportunity is there, the entrepreneurs will capture it. I think the ball lies in the government court. How easy they make things to be rolled out. And I think entrepreneurs will be there to grab the opportunity. I think the biggest thing that we expect is from the government. Second, I think Atmanirbhar, as we are talking about, if you remember the GFC, global financial crisis of 2007-8, we came out stronger because we are an internalized country. A lot of our supply and demand is dependent internally. We are not dependent as much, except IT and some of the other manufacturing like pharma. We are largely a self-dependent. We probably require the external capital, But as far as the consumption, the entire world wants to come here because we are 1.3 billion and growing in terms of GDP. So I would say that this is a watershed event. If we are able to capture this, and whenever the manufacturing comes, real estate is required for everything. I don't agree with people that real estate cannot happen. आपको रहने के लिए घर चाहिए, office चाहिए, school चाहिए, hospital चाहिए. Without real estate, nothing can move. So if people wants to build and grow India without real estate, I'm sorry, it cannot happen.
Mayur sir, your views on this, very, very important, make in India, self-dependent India. So facade is the only field where you don't have foreign players as of now. Even as an industry, facade industry has given enormous challenge to the people who have come, and that is because of our competitive edge and the Indian design engineering, which is respected all over the world. So how do you see this is this a great opportunity which will come? How is it?
Yeah, Kamlesh, I think the facade industry, I must appreciate, has really taken up a very quick learning curve, because when we were designing around 6 to 7 years ago, Marathon Future X, we thought that we will get glass only from China. The kind of glass which we wanted, Shanghai Pilkington, double low heat, EGU, energy efficient. Now you see everything is getting manufactured here. The designs have come way ahead. That time we were like looking at some Singaporean fabricator to make a high-rise building. So now that is not there. So the facade industry, I must appreciate, with the consultants, with entrepreneur like you and others, have really grown very quickly and learned the international standards. And that is why we are seeing a world-class building being fully end-to-end. Everything can happen in India, and so many buildings, facade buildings in Pune, Mumbai, Bangalore, everywhere, it's been really built by Indian contractors and the consultants. So that actually it is almost 80-90%, I would say, is Indian, and it will continue in that way, in my opinion, in time to come.
Can you hear?
I just want to add, by that time, even in the residential front, if you look at what is happening in Mumbai, most of the high rises are like, envelopes are almost 80-90% is glass now. And it's much easier, simpler, as Mr. Rajan has also stressed, that the factory made, standardized facade system is going to be the way forward, where we really don't want to depend too many things happening at the site, and expert the more controlled environment, the fabricated windows coming from the factory and get it fitted is going to be more optimized way of construction.
So continuing to that, you touched based upon the residential windows. So future of facades that you see with the changes in the new DCR, how do you see that? Question to Sandeep sir, that what is the strategy to improve the atmosphere within indoors, especially during these times when we are facing. In your presentation, I have seen a lot of greenery which is coming now, balconies which are coming in the residentials. So with the changes in the DCR and the facade and the windows becoming a very, very important role, how do you see this as a design?
See, Kamlesh, DCR, if you interpret it correctly, you can design a very good building. It's all about we as a designer, developers, construction contractors sitting together and get best out of it. So I personally feel there are some challenges in DCR which I will not touch it today. But DCR is one domain expertise. Design is a different approach, and what we want to have a built environment is a final product out of it. So what I feel, as I said, now the technology is with us. We can do the daylight simulation. We can do the CFD analysis, which is computer fluid dynamic analysis. We can actually test the performance of every built area that we are going to design before it is even began. That is what is the technology is giving it to us today. As all of us we were saying, we want to do less on site and more on off site. We have to move from manufacturing the building from constructing the building. So construction component has to go as low as possible, and off-site prefabricated component has to go as high as possible. So what does it mean, Kamlesh? That you have these performances which can be very, very well tested before you go, because you have a virtual model in which you can actually see the behavior of the building all throughout the 365 days at every location. So I think this technology should be used to its best, so that we are not experimenting, we are not doing something, and construction is very expensive, construction takes a lot of time, it has a responsibility. So we must spend a lot of time at the design stage, ensure that everything that we are building is exactly as per the requirement for whom we are building. Once all of us are convinced, and we should also take the feedback from the customer. You know, today I have been constantly requesting that how do we improve the dialogue between developer and customer? How do we have that kind of a charades, that kind of a workshops where you actually call the house lady, where you actually call the end occupant, take their feedback, understand what are their requirements, etc. So DCR is fine. DCR will always be there, but we are more intelligent enough to get the best out of whatever is being provided to us. And coming back to a small point, I fully agree with Ashok Bhai and also with Mayur Bhai and Sharad that now the time has come where the fittest will survive and best will prosper. You know, because now people will understand the competitiveness, because now people understand how important it is to have the real estate right and appropriate. So people will start looking at it from a more magnifying glass, and the people who will do best, they will prosper. They will have so much work in their hand. The best developers will have huge amount of work, you know, because people want homes. They are emotionally now in a that kind of a dilemma that I don't have home. That lease model for residential, I personally feel we want to convert into a ownership very soon, especially in a lower and mid income, and that's what feedback we are already getting. So for residential, it's going to be a very rosy picture, even after the post-COVID, is what I personally feel. And if you do well, you'll have a good response.
Yeah, I know we have been going through the news and we have been listening, you know, how important a home is, because you have seen tenants who are being, you know, put stamps on their hands. And when they came to their buildings, they had challenges because they were not owners of their homes, you know, and that is a very, very specific point wherein how important a home is today. So everybody has realized that the only vaccine which is made available for this kind of thing is by the developers and the architects, which is a home. So that is the biggest vaccine, and we are all safe because we are in home. Now, looking, as you said, the potential and the positiveness, now we are all talking about the social distancing, the distancing, which means, you know, and future, like, you know, we are talking about the average spaces. And when I talk about commercial in an office, you have 75 square feet or 100 square feet as a space for per person. Do you see this as an opportunity wherein now people will come and say, no, we want 200 square feet, we want 150 square feet between two people? So will it not increase the potential and the requirement of the offices and the space? How do you see this?
Well, Kamlesh, this one particular point I have been requesting all my people, please don't make a mistake of changing the space standards. As it is, we have a lot of stairs in our country, we have a huge population. Social distancing is momentary. You look at India, 170 crore population of a country, you look at our public transportation system, look at our civic cultural values. So I personally feel, yes, social distancing will be required, but I don't think that's a permanently married with our lifestyle. This pandemic will flatten, the normalcy will come back. So we need not construct more unnecessarily for 1,000 people office. If we start doing a madness of doing one workstation for 200, unnecessarily we'll build more, and that will be a more load on us to maintain and operate. We can do the shifts. People can use the same office in 3 shifts. Some people come in the morning from 7 to 2, some people come from 10 to 6, some people come from 12 to. See, that's how it is working in Silicon Valley and Cupertino, all over the Western world. So I don't think to build more is going to be a smart idea. Yes, but for some time, at least till this flattens, the social distancing will be very important, but that's not a permanent norm. So I personally don't think that's a good idea to change the space standard. The space standards that we have are very contextual, are very Indian, and that is what people can afford. Very small sector of people can afford this kind of a luxury of having one workstation per 200 square foot, etc. So we have to go slow, not to react immediately. But yes, for next 1 year till it flattens, we have to maintain that ethics of social distancing. That can be done by work from home, work from office combination, work in shifts, create your common areas as a workspace. So many ideas are there. I think that's how we should look at it in a very innovative way, not in a very static way.
Your views,
No, I
Ashok
agree
sir?
with Sandeep. Yeah, I agree with Sandeep on that. Whatever we plan, especially buildings, are planned as a long-term requirement. So I think anything, we cannot plan our buildings or our homes or offices with a short-term view. It might just go away in a year's time and we end up making something which is not really desirable and cost-effective. Only thing is that we need to have flexibility. And I think that's what will be required.
Very well said. Agility and flexibility and modularity is the key word.
Yeah. So your views, Ashok sir? on this?
Slightly, Kamlesh, I have a slightly different view from what Sandeep just said. Okay, I feel that it's not about COVID which has just come here. Okay, it's not come all of a sudden. Okay, we need to be prepared. Okay, now this has given us a new insight into what life is going to be in the future. There's going to be a new age of working, new age of living. Okay, so just like for example, people are suffering from AIDS. Okay, there is no cure. Okay, but it's a contact disease. Okay, we'll have to accept coronavirus as gonna remain here for a while, and therefore how do we kind of plan our life in future? You don't have to have too much of space within the offices, but having said that, social distancing will become a norm in future, and it's all about the architects. It's all about Sandeep and Rajan, how they're going to plan for us in such a way that there has to be optimal planning, that in the minimum space, in the budget also, we'll have to fit in everything that is possible, because you cannot, there'll be a time when you cannot go to work. Okay, so as Sandeep said in his earlier slide, he showed us that he's having pods. So something of that sort will have to be done, looking at it as a long-term disease. We'll have to live with COVID for a much longer time. There's no way that we can just feel that that we'll be fine and there'll be some vaccine created in the near future and we'll be okay in 6 months or 12 months. We'll have to actually train our minds to live with this circumstances. Yeah.
So this is going to be the new norm of life. Corona or COVID is going to be the new norm of life. It is. Mayur sir, your quick views onto it. We'll try to wrap up this now, but quick view on this.
I feel that temporarily, because what is happening is in Mumbai particularly, the occupancy level is only 5%. The vacancy level is only 5%. And if you have really packed up, because lately people used to packed up in 40 to 50 square feet per person, those type of an organization will require immediately, in a temporary basis also, some 20-30% extra space, because there are norms which are being laid out by some of the MNC, some of the back office, the employer also. They say no, you cannot really pack up in the manner in which you have already packed up people. And I think for that standard, 60 to 100 square feet kind of a range may be required for those type of an organization. And there are so many MNCs and there are so many financial services where this place or the space is not the major cost. They're making a lot of money, like multinational companies and all, and they have to adopt to the international standard, and they may want to go a little bit up a better social distancing. So in a short term, you may see some demand coming up from few of the organization where they will require a larger space.
So now my question goes to little future. Let's go and talk about little future, about facades. My question to Sandeep sir and Rajan sir, the facades with dynamic glasses, which you have seen now all over the world. The airports are converting into dynamic glasses. The future with the 4G, 5G technology, all this is coming, which means your facade is going to become your IP address kind of situation, and everything you can store as data into that glass itself. It could be a media screen, it could be a data thing, it could be controlled, how much heat you want, how much energy you want. Products like Sage, View, Halio, which are now used extensively abroad. What is the future of this product and technology, especially when we are moving so fast towards the technology of 4G and 5G? How do you see this, and how do you see this in buildings, especially when you look at corporates and office buildings? Do you see a good future about it? and whether we are ready for it. I would like Sandeep sir and then Rajan sir to explain.
Okay, I'll quickly tell you this. We're trying to do an analysis. If we spend 100 rupees to make a building, I think around 15 to 18 rupees we spend for a facade. But facade actually, as I said earlier, also decides the fate of the building. So I feel this 18% component, which is spent for the facade, rest all is there, core and shell, MEP, mechanical, fit out, everything. This 18% has to be very dynamic. Now the future will come when people will say we want an envelope design which is performance based, envelope design which is kind of upgradable. There will be an AMC, the way people are giving AMC for the elevator. Be ready, Kamlesh, that this kind of a demands are going to come to you. That people will ask the facade not only installed once and go away, but give a solution for a 10 years vision plan, 15 years vision plan, 25 years vision plan. So how the same facade can be recycled, can be refurbished, can be revamped, etc. And technology is going to provide us all these facilities. Take it from me. These kind of involvement of a 3G, 4G, IP-based incorporation is great, and that has already been in practice, and it's going to increase, especially in a central business district, especially in a facade of a public transportation system, and everywhere where people want to use also a facade to communicate with the people, they will have a lot of this kind of an interface. And I think we are yet at a mid stage of it. There's yet more to come. There will be a paradigm shift in this particular technology, and people will use it. The cost will also come down as the volume will go up, and people will have a lot of different kind of an opportunities. The envelope is a face, right? Whatever you see when you go on a road, when you go around and look everywhere, what you see is the envelope. So we have to have an envelope master plan of the city. You know, so many Western cities have an envelope
Basically,
master
it is
plan.
basically what we are talking is how do we generate even revenue out of those screens is what we are talking about. And Rajan sir, your views on that. Let's have a quick view on this.
Yes, Kamlesh, the facade, what we talk about facade is a material. So there's one big element common, usually is a glass, and you have a rest of the other elements. We could see a potential big quantum leap has to happen in a glass industry in terms of coating. So they will have to come with switchable coatings, smart coatings that you can change according to the condition exposure. Right now, what is happening is it's a very small scale and it is not affordable. I think that should come to the mass production. It will have a big change. And then there's a big shift we can expect on high performance materials which can be used widely on external. There are a lot of material right now we can't use it for external as like interior. So we are dealing with a very limited material. So there will be wide options of materials, high performance materials, which can be manufactured at very, very low cost and low energy intensive materials. I think that will be the future. And in terms of like a 4G, 5G, the technology, how is evolving. As we know, the construction industry is a little slow on adapting technologies and other things. But I think at least fortunately, the facade is going to lead on especially the new materials.
Mayur sir, your views, quick views on this, on the technology part. The young generation now coming up, they are all on virtual. We will have virtual sales, and we have already started doing virtual sales. We are seeing now, so we are going to get customers. So how do you see this?
Yeah, it's a very, very highly dynamic world, and this technology keeps on innovating. And we need to really adopt to the technologies which are really, effective and time tested. Now, these are the things which we keep on adopting it. We've been doing it at Marathon for all our projects, and we continue to do it. But as I told you, it's sometimes these technologies comes in a very short term, it becomes outdated, and sometimes you hold on. There's huge investment happens in a technology, and it sometimes goes waste. So you have to be really judicious that what all things will be really useful to you, and it is a long term period. Those things needs to be adopted.
Ashok sir, your views on this, on the technology part.
So I personally feel that that if you're not comfortable with technology, then you're uncomfortable with the manual way. So you have to get comfortable with technology. Okay, that is the can you hear now?
We can hear.
Okay, so I personally feel that if you're comfortable with technology, you'll be discomfortable with the manual way. So technology is the only way to go ahead. Okay. Now I'll give you an example. Okay. We had, BlackBerry. Okay. We had Nokia. Okay. Then what happened to them? They were completely extinct. Okay. Because they did not want to change with times. Then we got Apple coming up. Okay. We got Android apps coming up. Okay. We got Netflix. Now I'll give you an example of Netflix. What was Netflix doing? Was simply selling audio cassettes. Then they started selling video cassettes. Then they started selling those discs, okay, which you play. And today, I mean, they become a platform. Anybody and everybody must watch what Netflix. So I think this is the only way that one has to get adaptive technology. Otherwise, then you are there to completely evade off from this industry. Yeah.
Fantastic. So like, we all dream about having facades like Manhattan, having a lot of media screens and all. We dream and we hope that we see that soon. Over here, Mayur sir is back over here. So one last final question to all, and it will be a quick question to is, given a choice, one thing you have to change and you have to think about facades, what will be that one thing which will come? Everybody can share their one choice that you get. How do you handle that, and what are your views to it? So we can start with Sandeep sir.
Make it dynamic, make it constantly upgradable, make it agile, and make it keep syncing with the nature and the needs of the people. Facade cannot be looked as a static one-time solution. Facade has to be a solution which has to have a dynamic nature to it. That's what I would say.
Ashok sir, what are your views? That one thing you would like to change, and one thing, given a choice, you would do for the facade. I will just go to Mayur sir. Mayur sir, one thing that you wish that you could change in the facade.
So my dream would be that SGU with TGU performance.
Okay.
And if I can get a very efficient cleaning system, right, which is one of the very, very important feature while maintaining the facade, innovation in cleaning systems.
Okay. Rajan sir, your thing?
I would like, my wish is I would like to see the facade how I could see in the factory, as produced from the factory, scratch free.
Hello, can you hear? Everybody can hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fantastic
We can hear you,
session.
Kamlesh.
So much.
There is
It was
communication
really,
between.
really great session. There are huge number of questions which are here, and we would like to take few of the questions which are there. So the first question, I would like to take it with Mayur sir, and the question is, how are you going to relate? Hello. Mayur sir, can you hear me? Hello. I think we are not able to hear Mayur sir. Mayur sir, the question is, there are a lot of questions which have come regards to the residential requirements in the 2-tier and the 3rd tier. How do you see that? I think we are losing on Mayur sir, so I will straight away go to Sandeep sir. Sandeep sir, are you there?
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
there.
so Sandeep sir, there are a lot of questions which have come on the how are we going to maintain those buildings with gardens and balconies and terraces? Are they going to be a challenge, or it can be managed within the cost? There are a lot of questions which have come on the maintenance.
Well, I know that this question was going to come. Let me tell you that this is a myth that the vertical vegetation cannot be maintained. Now, fortunately, there are so many agencies who do a bio wall, who do a green wall, and they also take a maintenance contract. You see, the neighboring countries like Malaysia, Singapore, they have a similar kind of a tropical environment. So it is a myth that such kind of a vertical vegetation may create a water problem, or it may have some impact on the building stability. No, if it is done properly, if you have put this thought properly in your design strategy, it's very, very easy to maintain and operate. You are muted, Kamlesh.
Kamlesh, you are on mute.
Yeah, my next question is to Sharaji. Sharaji, there are a lot of questions which have come in that there will be a lot of demand coming in the 2-tier cities and the 3-tier cities. How do you see that, and how do you answer that?
So Kamlesh, thank you for a great interaction earlier. Frankly speaking, bulk of the real estate volumes and the if I take it on the basis of the value as well, is happening in top 7 cities in India. Largely the India 20 years back was driven by Delhi and Bombay. Over a period of last 20 years, there have been newer cities which has got added, which has become mega cities now, which are driven by IT demand or service industry. I believe we need to see newer economy activity happening in tier 2 towns. So if I take some examples, say in Maharashtra, Nagpur and Nasik, on the basis of old economy, I don't see a great growth or capital going there. Money will still continue to chase Bombay and Delhi. If you look at in South, Mysore and some of the other cities probably will have to wait for Bangalore to get exhausted or Vizag for Hyderabad to get exhausted. But on the incremental demand coming out of the current economic activities, the growth will continue, but it will not be exponential.
My question there is one very interesting question which has come from the audience. What is the ideal glass to wall ratio probably in this post-COVID? Are there going to be any changes from glass to wall ratio? Sandeep sir.
Yeah, so window wall ratio has been already specified in NBC, but I feel the buildings which has got a curtain wall, especially the commercial building, the amount of opening has to go to 3 times. You know, our chief fire officer used to insist that you have to have a 10% of the panels which are operable for the smoke evacuation. But now post-COVID, and we were earlier also advocating that for a completely a glass envelope building, you need to have minimum 30% of the envelope which should open. Your glass could be any ratio, that's a design aspiration. But you have to ensure that there is a proper exchange of a natural air coming in. So you have to have at least 30 to 40% of the envelope openable when you want to actually flush the air from inside and put the pressure inside. So that will become a new norm for you.
So thank you so much, Sandeep sir. My question to Mayur sir. Mayur sir, how do you see now? There are a lot of questions which have come on the facade or the windows, especially, and especially when you said about performance. How is the cost? Is the cost of the real estate is a general question which is coming? Is it going to be a challenging thing on the facade, or how is it going to be?
Definitely, I think the costing will be the major issue for all the real estate projects, and particularly in the commercial buildings where
So my question now, hello, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. So my question directly goes to Rajan now. Rajan, there are a lot of questions coming on the factory production and make in India. How do you see that?
Yes, Kamlesh, thanks for asking this. It's a good question. It's the same thing I spoke a little bit on my presentation. There are two aspects. Make in India is good thing. Anyway, the facade materials, there are a lot of material is made in India. So it is, we can almost say we are self-relying on facade materials. And then for factory production, it will be a big challenge to contractor and fabricators like yourself. But it also give a good opportunity for those relying too much on a site-based production. They will see the importance of factory-based, which will eventually better for the industry.
Ashok sir, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear.
Yeah, Ashok sir, the last and final question for this session, message to the young developers and the young entrepreneurs who are entering into developing and real estate. How do they see and how do they deal with this situation? And what is the message for them for the future?
Yeah, so it's very simple. What I would like to, convey to the young developers is that they should not lose hope. Okay, this is one thing that they should catch on to is hope. Okay, there are three other things that I will, emphasize today is that they got to focus on execution. Okay, execution is the key today, right? One has to give that the top priority. Okay, the other thing is about communication, right? So one has to have a new way of communication with care. Okay, now corona is going to be replaced with karuna, that is compassion. So we would like that the young developers, the new age developers should communicate with a lot of care, with a lot of love, with a lot of empathy, with all the stakeholders, including the customers, of course, at first, but also with their vendors. Lastly, it's about again technology. Okay, so again come back to technology, that this is one of the pillars of the Prime Minister, and this cannot be neglected at all, because if you neglect technology, you're neglecting your entire base. Okay, now for example, if I tell you that what happened to the Japan Olympics, right? They had to postpone it, they had to cancel it. But do you think that the athletes were resting or were not practicing? They were even practicing even in this times, okay? So you can't wait, and watch. You can't wait for 2 headlights coming your way and not do anything about it. So this is a time when you got to adapt to technology and move on in life. Yeah, thank you.
Kamlesh, you are muted. Kamlesh, unmute.
Thank you so much, Ashok sir, for the valuable insight and the valuable feedback and the positive message. So we all pledge ourselves for the Atmanirbhar. Thank you so much for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you on many more sessions. Thank you so much, audience. Thank you for joining.
Thank you.
Have
Bye.
stay safe, stay healthy.
Everyone, thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Pleasure meeting you. Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Bye.